Well, hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. We are live. Let us know where you're calling in from. I'm Dr. David Ajibade. Yes, I know I do not look like Dr. Mercy. I'm standing in for Dr. Mercy. She's on night duty this week. So I am privileged and honored to take her place today. We will be talking about Black women and dementia. Super exciting, I know. Let's know where you're calling in from. So I'm just going to give you guys a few minutes to get in on the show. Type, if you don't mind, type in the comments below. Let's see where you're joining us from. Okay, looks like some people outside joining us. That's great. Welcome. Let us know who you are, what your name, what your name is, and where you are logging in from. Again, my name is Dr. David Ajibade. I'm standing in for Dr. Mercy today, and we will begin the presentation. Hello, Lloyd Chell. Listen, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, but I see Lloyd Chell. Yana Cruz from California. Lloyd Chell from Arizona. Hey. Felicia Rush. Shonda Green, Lacole from California, Michelle. Wow, they're just, oh my goodness, just coming in. It's like you guys, it's like the dam just broke. Lots of people coming at the same time. You are welcome. Again, my name is Dr. David Ajibade, the founder and director of the Brain and Body Foundation. But it's not about me today. It's about you, especially if Lisa. Hey, Lisa, especially. Okay, I got it right, Lloyd Chell. I thought I was going to butcher it, but Lloyd Chell says I'm good. All right, that's good to know. And I can see Ngozi Metu from California. Okay, welcome. All right, we're going to get into it very soon. We'll be talking about dementia and the Black woman. Okay, so if you're a man or you're a Black man or you're white, anybody else, you may think that this does not apply to you, but I promise you it does. There will be some things that hopefully you will take away from this presentation, and hopefully we'll be able to you get some value from this. Again, it's about dementia and Black women specifically, and I'm specifically just talking about Black women because obviously this is a Black woman empowered. But also because Blacks in general, let's start with that. Blacks in general have the highest rates of dementia in the US. And quite frankly, if you were to compare them, anywhere you see a fairly decent size Black population anywhere in the world, along with whites and other races, when it comes to dementia, and quite frankly, other conditions as well, but we're going to focus on dementia. When it comes to dementia, Blacks tend to have the highest rates. I mean, why that's happening to us, I can't really tell you why, but that's what it is. And so we have to find out. It is our responsibility. It's incumbent upon us to understand why that is so and what to do about it. So Blacks, like I was trying to say, Blacks have the highest rates of dementia in the world, in any society. But then Black women tend to have it higher. And one of the reasons is that women tend to have it twice as much. Women in general tend to have it twice as much as men. So Black women, obviously, that gives you puts you in a rarefied, how shall we put it? Rarefied level, so to speak. And I know it's not funny, so I apologize for laughing, but it is a big issue. All right, so, and I feel that we are not talking, especially healthcare professionals, we're not talking about it enough. It's rare to find a Black healthcare professional to talk about why Blacks are having it so high. And so I've really seen it as one of my responsibilities to really shed the light on this. I volunteer with the Alzheimer's Association, which is a fantastic organization. They're doing a lot of good work for free. I'm going to type in their information here because I think that it really should be spread far and near. If you have any questions about dementia, you want to reach out to them. Again, I'll put their number there. But you really want to reach out to them and then to ask. They can again talk to you about legal issues, life planning, accounting issues, and so on and so forth. Oh, and of course, caregiving, where you can get the best, most cost-effective caregiving resources. I just go ahead and put it here. It's alz.org. alz.org. Okay, I'm going to send that to you right now. And then the phone number, the 1-800 number is 1-800-272-3900. Okay. Okay. Hey, Sydney from Ohio. Good to see you. And Abel, hey, one of the few men. Abel from Africa. Yeah, you can't just say Africa, dude. You got to say which part of Africa you're from. Why would you just say Africa anyway? Africa has like 55 countries. I'm from Nigeria. Most of you probably have figured that out by now. And Nigeria has the largest number of Black people on the planet. So it's especially important to me. All right, a few things about myself. Like I said, I'm Dr. David Ajibade. I'm the founder and director of the Brain and Body Foundation. It's based both in Nigeria and the US. And our goal, well, we have a fourfold goal. But the primary goal is to find solutions to brain disorders that can be applied in third world or developing countries. In other words, where we don't have access to all this super duper techie stuff like the MRI scans, the PET scans, the SPECT scans, and so on and so forth. I mean, all these things that you see and take for granted over here, in most parts of Nigeria and Africa, nothing. We don't even have, I think it's only in South Africa where you have like postgraduate courses on PhDs on neurology, neurosciences. So we don't have access to those things. And yet we tend to have the highest rates, like I mentioned before. Okay, thank you, Abel. You're from Democratic Republic of Congo, but currently living in Uganda. Okay, welcome. So we, and as we go further and further into the 21st century, we're seeing more and more brain conditions, especially in the elderly people, in the older people. And one reason for that is that we're living longer. And the longer you live, the more you go, the higher the risk of these conditions like dementia, Parkinson's disease, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, the rate of development of hospitals and research centers that can cater to address brain disorders is not rising as much. And even when we train brain doctors, whether neurologists or psychiatrists or neurosurgeons, they tend to be poached by the Western world. So we keep on going back to square one. So we have greater and greater need for these, demand for these, for these specialties, these equipment, these healthcare professionals, but the provision of these services are not there. Again, it's so important for it leaves us with one solution and one solution only: the ability to teach people how to take care of their brains. Because if we don't teach them how to take care of their brains, they're going to constantly be doing things that are harming their brains, or they will not be doing the things that are needed to take care of their brains. Everybody knows what, so I'm going to go into our talk today. Everybody knows what dementia is. If you don't, I won't say you've been living under a rock, but it is probably one of the fastest growing conditions in the Western world. It is projected to bankrupt many countries because it's just growing so fast and there haven't been any real good treatment for it. But in layman's terms, in lay people's terms, dementia is a brain condition in which there is deterioration and degeneration of the brain, which results in memory, which is what everybody is familiar with. But it also includes thinking processes, mood, behavioral issues, ability to process information, ability to think on your feet, ability to navigate through life, ability to even balance and walk like you should. So it's a process, it's a problem that affects the whole brain. It's almost like the brain is rusting and decaying away. I hate to use such extreme terms, but that's kind of like what it is. And it happens over a period of time. Now, one of the best definitions we have for Alzheimer's disease is on the Alzheimer's website, I believe. I hope I sent that to you. So I hope you've gotten that information on the Alzheimer's website, on what the Alzheimer's organization is. But please, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type your questions in. I'm still seeing people coming. Hey, Marilyn from New Jersey, Carolyn Wise from South Carolina, Jesse Lee from New Jersey. Great. From all over the country. Great. So the Alzheimer's, and I'm going to get to women and dementia, but the Alzheimer's Association talks about Alzheimer's disease being a brain condition in which there are permanent brain changes as a result of damage to the brain occurring over a period of time, leading to brain degeneration, which is progressive over a period of time. And I just want to break that down really quickly. It is as a result of brain damage. As a result of brain damage, the brain is responding to damage that is happening over a period of time. So I'm going to say this. Anyone who develops dementia is usually out of three things. There are three main reasons why people develop dementia. And of course, I've just talked about the things that cause that, what dementia is. There are three things. One is as a result of continual exposure to attacks, things that damage the brain. So someone who developed, and we're not talking about genes now or age. We're talking about they have had greater attacks. Their brains have sustained greater attacks over a longer period of time. Number two, they may have fewer defenses against these attacks. So one is the frequency and the duration and the severity of the attacks. Number two is the protection from these attacks. And number three, which is a big one for those of us in third world countries, is that for some reason, when things begin to falter, when people begin to maybe lose their memory or begin to exhibit brain problems, they are less likely to receive appropriate medical care. This could be because they're just reluctant to go and receive medical care, or it could be that the medical care is unavailable, or it could be, number three, that the doctor that they see, for some reason or the other, does not make the right assessment and check for the right things. So again, these are the three main reasons why anybody will have dementia. One, greater attacks. Number two, fewer defenses. And number three, inappropriate treatment when the problem just begins to happen. Yes. Ngozi says, I have heard that researchers have identified dementia as type 3 diabetes. It is not misinformation, but it is inadequate in my opinion. I personally do not like the moniker or the definition of type 3 diabetes as just of dementia as just type 3 diabetes, because it just keeps us focused only on sugar. With dementia, there's a lot of other things. Yes, sugar is a part of it, but there are a lot of other things involved in it. Anyway, we'll probably get back to it later on. By the way, I do have a YouTube channel that is specifically focused on Blacks and dementia. And like I said, I've taken upon myself to really address this condition. We're going to look at it at every possible angle. And again, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that Black doctors aren't going out and talking about this. We should be sounding the alarm, because I see Black people do. It's like all the teaching that I'm seeing is maybe from a generic perspective or from a white person's perspective. And they're not realizing that Black people, we are different, not just in terms of skin color, but biochemically, biologically, physiologically, we are different. There are different. I'll give you an example. The drugs that we use for blood pressure, the blood pressure meds that work for Black people are very, 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 very different from the blood pressure meds that work for white people. In fact, if you give a Black person the blood pressure meds of a white person, you could hurt the Black person. And that's just one example. There are several other examples. And so there are several reasons why we need to focus on Blacks in particular, so that we can really understand where it is that we're going wrong. Does that make sense? Okay, so someone is asking about attacks. Okay, why don't we just go ahead and talk about attacks? I'm going to give you some quick examples now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my YouTube channel, because I can't, this is free for you to join. There you go. Oh, Dr. Mercy, you put in my YouTube channel? Wow, how did you know my YouTube channel? That's great. Thank you. So you can subscribe easily and join that. So someone is asking about attacks. So I have what is known as Dementia's Dirty Dozen. where I go, it's like all short videos where I talk about 12, 30 dozen, 12 causes or pathways to dementia. So things like toxins, whether environmental toxins, outside air pollution, or inside pollution, or, and speaking about women, what we put on our bodies, and that includes hairspray, including all the things you use to relax your hair and so on. Again, listen, I got to be careful here. I got to be careful here. It's not everything that I'm not saying that you should go makeup less or don't style your hair. I'm just going to point out a few things here and there that's that can be perceived by the body as toxins over a period of time. There are some nutrient deficiencies that actually result in attacks. I'll give you an example. Vitamin B12. Simply not having enough. Think about that. Something as simple as vitamin B12. Simply not having enough vitamin B12 instantly causes damage to the brain. It's an attack on the brain, not having enough vitamin B12. So it's a longer process. I mean, it's a much wider thing. And so again, if you're more prone, and there are genetic reasons why you may have more attacks, and also there are just environmental reasons. Again, please go to so on the YouTube channel, just click on subscribe, and you can get onto, you can see some of the Dementia's Dirty Dozen. I've listed them all. It's in one playlist on that channel. Okay, any more questions? Is tinnitus an indication? That's a great question, Marlo. Is tinnitus, she says, is tinnitus an indication of future dementia? Tinnitus is like ringing or sounding in the ears, and I'm shocked how common it is. A lot of people have problems with tinnitus. I'll say this: hearing loss, especially in midlife, 40s and beyond, over a period of time, can increase your risk of dementia. It's not going to happen automatically, but it does increase your risk of dementia. Hearing loss. One of the reasons for that. And hearing loss could be associated with tinnitus. So I'm not going to say tinnitus and hearing loss provide the same level of risk. Tinnitus is just ringing in the ear. Your hearing could be normal, but that ringing could just be an irritation. Hearing loss, on the other hand, has been documented as a big risk factor for dementia. Part of it is that there's so much processing power. The brain is putting so much energy into trying to hear that it kind of sucks away from the parts that have to do with processing and memory and so on. Okay. So again, like we said, there are three main reasons. Greater attack. Yes, stress could also contribute. Greater attacks, fewer defenses. And number three, inappropriate or lack of appropriate care at the time the problem begins. So once your memory begins to stumble, it's not necessarily dementia. But if it's not taken care of, like for instance, if you don't get the vitamin B12, if your doctor does not assess you and see that your vitamin B12 levels are low and just says, go and come back next year. You don't have a problem now, go and come back next year. And then next year it has become full-blown dementia. Well, whose fault is it? Anyway, I'm not going to say whose fault it is, because this is not a platform to be blaming doctors for anything. But that's an issue. All right, let's get on to women and dementia. Black women specifically. Well, let's talk about blacks. I have a whole talk about blacks and dementia. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, the biggest thing, other than stress and the racial component, which of course is a big problem in the US. The biggest thing, in my opinion, the one thing that you can do as a Black person to reduce your risk of dementia, and statistics have said it, research has borne it out, that you can reduce your risk of dementia by about 40%. Are you listening? By about 40% if your vitamin D levels are optimal. I'll say it again, no problem. And I've been shouting about this, you probably heard me before. If your vitamin D levels are optimal, you can reduce your risk of dementia by about 40%. Now, Black people tend to have the highest lowest levels of vitamin D. So that right off the bat, if you connect the dots, low vitamin D levels leads to greater risk of dementia and really leads to greater damage to the brain over a period of time. Now you now go back beyond that. Black people have the lowest levels of vitamin D. So low levels of vitamin D can lead to dementia. So the one thing above everything that I'm going to talk about is that you've got to make sure that your vitamin D levels are optimal. If your doctor isn't going to check it for you, I know some doctors will refuse to check it. That's fine. You can go to the labs. You can get it tested. I believe it's about $40 or $50. It's worth it, especially in the winter, because in the winter, vitamin D levels tend to plummet. And the older you are, the darker you are, the heavier you are, all compounds and the layer on top of each other to push your vitamin D levels lower and lower and lower. So please get your vitamin D. Again, I talk about this on our YouTube channel. All right. Why do women tend to have higher rates of dementia than why do Black women well, let's just say, why do women in general have higher rates of dementia? Does anybody, I'm going to take a break now. I want you to type in the comment section why you think women have higher rates of dementia than men. All right, so I'm going to read some of the comments. Right. Okay, so Marlo is asking about tinnitus. It is not a straightforward answer, I can tell you that. So we might have to talk afterwards. The doctors told my sister that our mother's dementia was caused by her. Yes, mini strokes can compound and lead to dementia. Stress, okay, all right, yeah. Women tend to process stress a lot worse. Women tend to, I gotta be careful here. Women tend to be more stress inclined, let's put it that way, than men do. Men can easily just sleep it off. I guess that's a genetic thing. Come on, people. Hormones pull on the body. Higher stress, not taking care of our health. That's right. You take care of everybody else's health, but you don't take care of your own. Yeah, that's a problem. Enzymes. Rosa, what do you mean by enzymes? Gotta explain. We're too busy taking care of ourselves, but we're too busy to take care of ourselves. Yes, Ngozi, that is very true. We tend to want. Sorry, I'm not saying, I don't mean we, gosh, golly. You all tend to take care of everybody else. You're the matriarchs, you're the keepers of the home, the domestic goddesses. Forgive me if that's the wrong term, but you tend to take care of everybody else, especially Black women. I think that's an issue. Especially Black women. Black women fret and take care of everybody else except themselves. Okay, good. I love it. Lack of sleep. I love it. Good. Yeah, sleep apnea, lack of sleep. Can an unannounced, unnoticed infection lead? Yes. As a matter of fact, in the dementia's dirty dozen that I talk about, they all start with the letter I, and infection is one of them. Interestingly enough, it could be infections in your gum, infections in your teeth. Almost nobody thinks about that when it comes to dementia, but yet oral hygiene or the lack thereof has been related to higher levels or higher risk of dementia. Isolation, boom, that's another I. You guys are good. I love you guys. This is good stuff. We are superwoman. Well, yeah, not all the time. You got to do the things that you need to do to make sure that you be superwoman. All right. Yes, Black women are superwomen for sure. Nutrition and lack of exercise. Yes, so those are factors as well. So I'm just going to go. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through. I have about 7 or 8 that I've written out. Most of them have been researched extensively. Some of them are basically my, shall we say, the work that I've done, my personal research. I do have a clinic, so I do telemedicine. I'm in the US now, so I have patients all over the world, and this is what I've observed from our treatments of patients, and also from our research about dementia. Number 1, longer life. I keep saying we. I hope I don't turn into a woman soon. Sorry. Anyway, women tend to live longer. And one of the top risk factors for dementia is longer life. So again, it pulls back to what we talked about earlier. Greater, greater exposure to attacks over a period of time, over a longer period of time, can lead to dementia. And since women live longer, they are exposed to these attacks. We all are exposed to attacks, environmental toxins, and so on and so forth. The more we're exposed to the elements, so to speak, the more we're going to have dementia. So that's age. Women tend to live longer. Number two, menopause. And as you know, dementia for the most people starts after the age of 65. By mid 40s to early 50s is when menopause happens, in which your ovaries stop producing the eggs. They still produce estrogen, they still produce progesterone, but it's much, much more diminished. The lower levels of estrogen and progesterone, but mainly estrogen. Progesterone is also important for the brain, but the lower levels of these hormones is a very, 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 shall we say, has a damaging effect on the brain. And I'll tell you why. Estrogen is seen as the most important hormone for the brain. Now we have over 200 different hormones, so we're talking about a lot of hormones. But estrogen is probably the most important, because what it does, it protects the nerve cells. But beyond that, it also protects the synapses. The synapses are where two nerve cells come together and they exchange information. There's nothing you're going to do with your brain that does not involve the communication of impulses from one. It's like this, really. You see this? So a signal comes from here, it gets into this neuron. There's a gap in it called the synaptic cleft. It releases neurotransmitters. The other neuron receives those neurotransmitters and sends the signals to the next. On and on and on and on it goes. We have trillions of these synapses in the brain. About 86 billion nerves, but these connections, one nerve can have like 40,000 connections. Okay? In every case, it's estrogen that helps to protect what I've just described. Estrogen is one of the protective factors in this process. So if your estrogen levels are low, it makes one more susceptible to things like dementia, memory loss. In fact, during menopause, one of the top complaints during that period of menopause, afterwards people get used to it or they get over it. But one of the top complaints is memory loss, this brief lapses in memory. Yes, we have the hot flashes. Yes, there are the hot flashes. There's that temperature dysregulation. There's that irritability and emotional problems. But the big thing is it has to do with memory. All right. So estrogen helps to protect it. Now, in men's case, here's the advantage we have. So we have testosterone. We don't have. We may have the whole midlife crisis thing, but we don't have drops in estrogen the way women have it. We still have estrogen, but the key is that we have testosterone, and testosterone can be converted to estrogen. Got it? So we can convert our testosterone to estrogen and therefore help in the protection of these synapses. Women don't have that much testosterone. Sorry, ladies. So what I do for my patients, especially those who are going through estrogen, going through menopause or having issues, or they're just stressed out, again, it's a hormonal problem, we provide them with nutrients, supplements. I don't use drugs at all because most of my patients are around the world, so I don't want to deal with medications. But there are really, really good nutrient formulations that help. They provide the raw materials. We don't give them estrogen or testosterone, whatever. They provide the raw materials for the brain to make what it needs, and for the body too to make what it needs. So it can help make more of the estrogen that is lacking. It can help to make progesterone. It can help make testosterone. It can even help to make thyroid hormones. I didn't talk about thyroid hormones, but thyroid hormones also tend to go down. It's worse with women. Women have more thyroid issues than men do, and so there are nutrients that can help. It can be raw materials for your body to make thyroid hormones and the sex hormones. Very, very important. Unfortunately, most doctors or family practitioners only think about just identical hormone replacement. And to do that, you have to have a doctor to prescribe it and to monitor it. Again, in third world countries like in Africa, we don't have doctors to monitor those things. So it's safer. It's actually much, much safer to just use the building blocks. Those are nutrients that the body can use to make these hormones. Does that make sense? I'm going to make it quicker. Is there a way to regulate hormones at home? Yes. Is there? Yeah, there's a way. There are certain nutrients, there are certain supplements that we use to help people regulate hormones. What impact does legally prescribed Western medicines have on dementia? Yes, indeed. There are medications, even over the counter medications. Yes, unfortunately. There are over the counter medications that can cause brain compromise. I don't want to say brain damage, but brain compromise, and can lead to dementia. So some of those medications include things like I think it's Benadryl. There are some of these cough medications, the simple over-the-counter medications that specifically targets. They're called anticholinesterases, that bring down the levels of acetylcholine, which is a very important neurotransmitter for the brain. Yeah, a very important neurotransmitter for the brain. Okay. We do not recommend. I don't really put. Well, how do I feel about estrogen cream? I think estrogen cream is great. It just has to be. It has to be prescribed, and you've got to monitor your estrogen levels. So anything that requires, in my opinion, because I operate in third world countries, I'm going to keep on saying that. Anything that requires close monitoring, to me, is a non-starter. Because these talks were given is for you to be equipped with information to go back to your doctor, back to your healthcare professional, and ask them about these different things. Okay, all right. Let's go on to the next one. We've talked about stress. We've talked about hormones. Let's talk about stress a little bit, because a lot of people talk about stress. Yes, stress is a really, really big issue. And one of the reasons that stress is a big issue is that, well, okay, I have to mention too that, as you probably know this already, that women tend to process emotions a lot differently than men. If a man is stressed out, he may find it a lot easier to go to bed and go to sleep, and sleep does help. But if a woman is stressed out, if you all are stressed out, you find it a lot more difficult to. Or even if you go to bed, even if you sleep, you tend to wake up earlier, maybe at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. And if it's an issue with your spouse, that can result, you wake him or her up, and then you can start, and then basically you start the argument. What stress does, the key thing that stress does is that it raises level, it causes the body to produce certain chemicals, chief of which is a hormone called cortisol. Everybody knows about cortisol, right? Cortisol, if it's left in the bloodstream, and if it's at high levels over a long period of time, can result in damage to certain structures in the brain, especially what is known as the hippocampus, which is where memories is the processing center of the brain for memories. And it's very sensitive to things like cortisol, but it's also sensitive to sugar as well. Sugar and cortisol can be very damaging to the hippocampus. If your hippocampus is damaged, it's going to affect memory, and eventually can lead to dementia. Okay? So what we want to do when it comes to stress, one of the big things we want to do is I try to help my patients sleep better. And we can use things like melatonin, although it's advised, you want to use it advisedly. Vitamin D has been found to be very good. I don't know why it isn't used much for sleep. Vitamin C and zinc are also have been shown to be very, very helpful. Okay. Yeah, someone says you can address your hormonals by diet, herbs, drinks, and using less toxic chemicals. Very true. Very, very true. The problem with diets is that you need high. So I'm of the opinion that you want to have be able to provide those hormonal building blocks quickly and safely and effectively. Sometimes people have to search far and wide for the right combination of foods and veggies and eat them over a period of time. I mean, it's possible to be done right, but like in places like Africa and Nigeria, where I'm from, it's not as easy to get all the different. It's quite expensive to eat healthy unless you live on a farm or you have your own farm. Okay, I'm going to move from there. Any questions so far? Do you recommend? Yeah, absolutely. I recommend MCT oils. I think MCT oils are great for the brain because they provide the brain with energy as quickly as possible. Magnesium, yes, magnesium is great. Sleep and exercise, yes, indeed, Marlo. Yes, indeed. Can you reverse the impact of extended high? Absolutely, you can reverse the impact of extended high cortisol. One of them is by sleeping and relaxing more. Hard to do, I know, but also by providing like the magnesium, like Carolyn has mentioned, magnesium is very, very good. There are things that the brain must have. There are nutrients the brain must have in order to function properly. Many of these are very simple nutrients. I mentioned B12, we mentioned zinc, magnesium, vitamin D. So basically, well, what I'm doing is I'm putting together all these nutrients into one formulation specifically for the Black person. Because what we found out is that Black people, there are certain nutrients, I've mentioned vitamin D, but there are certain nutrients that we tend to be more deficient in than white people are. And simply and I use them. If you look at my desk here, I have tons of all these different nutrients, and it's even for me, it's a task. It's really it's a chore to just take all these every single day. I mean, I'm getting tired of it. So this is for me as much as for anybody else. I'm putting all this into formulation. I'm getting the manufacturer to put everything into one formulation. We're talking about 16 or 17 different nutrients. Put them all together in the amounts and the combinations and the proportions that are best suited for the Black person. And then we're putting it into a combination that we will hopefully make available to the public. I'm just waiting. I'm just trying to raise the fund to get it done. And I think it's going to be a jackpot. I think it's going to be a winner. I think it's going to be a winner for sure. So if you're interested, if you want to know about that, you can contact us. I guess I should give you our email address as well. I'll give that. So if you're interested, just shoot us an email. We shall put you onto our waiting list or our information list at gmail.com. But I think it's going to be a winner. Okay, let's see what. Oh, thank you, Mercy. You're the best. Organic talk, Terry. Could you be stressed out? Poor gut health in women. That's another big one. Thank you, Jackie. Poor gut health. So I think people underestimate the importance of the digestive system. Remember, nothing gets to your brain or gets to your cells without going through the digestive system. Almost nothing. So you need to be able to take in the food, which is really the building blocks for your brain. You need to be able to chew it. You need to be able to digest it. Your digestive system needs to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. Take the magnesium, the potassium, the vitamin D, the calcium, whatever it is, extract it and send it to the brain where it's needed. If there's a problem anywhere in this process, whether it's from the digestion in the mouth or to absorption in the stomach, to having problems, yes, stomach problems can lead to serious problems, even like vitamin B12 deficiency. Just having like gastritis or stomach ulcers can lead to vitamin B12 deficiency. I can't go into all that right now, but you've got to pay attention to your digestive system. And women tend to have greater problems with their digestive system. Sorry, ladies, I got to let you know that. Women have problems with sleep too, so if a woman is stressed out, she is less likely to have a long night's sleep, and you've got to have about 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Let's see, autoimmune conditions. That's another thing. We tend to, gotta stop saying this. Women tend to have, like I think it's 80% of women, 80% of autoimmune patients, people with problems like thyroid problems, multiple sclerosis, certain types of diabetes, ulcerative colitis. And they're not coming to me now, but there are a lot of autoimmune conditions. What was the other one now? Fatigue. What's that one called? Fatigue. Lupus. Fatigue syndrome. Come on, help me out for people. Mercy, I need you here. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, lupus. Most autoimmune people with autoimmune are women, and having your immune system dysfunctional, we're now beginning to find out the importance of immune function to the brain. In fact, the brain is not going to function well if the immune system is not working like it should. So you do need to watch out for that. One of the top things I would recommend is that if you know that you have any intolerances, let's say you're lactose intolerance, and over 75% of Black people are lactose intolerant, you want to step back. You want to step back from taking too much milk or dairy products if it's for a while, because anytime you're intolerant of a specific kind of food or drink, it sets up a chain of reactions in the immune system that can lead to damage in the brain. All right. And here's another one that I really want to talk about before we end today. Fibromyalgia, yes. Chronic fatigue syndrome. That's the one I couldn't remember. Chronic fatigue syndrome. Right. So here's the one I really want to end with. And it has to do with what we're beginning to find out about the importance of muscle strength. They are now finding out that people who have stronger muscles or who are engaged in active resistance, I don't want to say muscle building because you think about Arnold Schwarzenegger and the rest of them, or the other Mr. Universe people. But they're beginning to find out that having adequate muscular strength throughout life is one of the greatest protections against brain disorders, not just dementia, Parkinson's disease, and strokes, and so on and so forth. There's a growing number of medical people who are now talking about the importance of muscles and memory, or the importance of brawn and brain. Yeah. They're talking about how important it is to have strong muscles. So I want to really encourage you, especially if you're in the middle age, you want to start doing resistance training. If possible, get a health coach or get online, and I'm sure you'll find on YouTube some people who are giving free tips on how to build muscle. But I've started to take it seriously myself. I was very, very lazy about building muscle and anything, but so I play a lot of squash. So that's the aerobics. But what I do is that before I play squash or after I play squash, I go do some pull-ups or some chin-ups or some dips. I mean, it's not enough. I also have like, what you call it now? I have this bar thing here that has the elastic, these bands. So it adds to some resistance. So you don't need to have this whole gym set up in your house, but at least have some kind of resistance training. So what I do before I go into the shower, I do like 50, 60, and it gets really hot, and I'm trying to push it to 70 now. Before I could do just 20, but over a period of time, I was able to build it up to about 50 or 60, and it's just a routine now, or a ritual. If I get into the shower, I just do the whole thing and just push it out, crack it out. So that helps. One of the reasons why muscles are so important is that the muscles are like your store for proteins. One of the things that proteins are important for is that they are important to help to build the muscle, to build brain cells. But they're also important to help you fight against infections. So the immune system uses proteins to kill viruses and bacteria and other pathogens, and it gets these proteins. The reservoir from which it gets these proteins is from the muscles. So if your muscles are weak or almost non-existent, it's going to be hard. There's little to pull from, and therefore your immune system will not have enough, shall we say, tools or enough of an arsenal to be able to fight disease and to be able to do the work they're supposed to do. So I really, really want to encourage you to look into strength training or resistance training for your sake, for your brain's sake, long term. Got it? Okay. Again, I want to talk about vitamin D. It's so important. You really should. Everybody, if you're Black, if you're over 40, and if you're not of optimal weight, and I can say pretty much almost nobody I know is of optimal weight. I'm according to the BMI, I'm obese. I mean, can you imagine that? I'm obese, right? So I think that BMI scale is racist, but just kidding. But anyway, if you're overweight, you're over 40, if you're Black, and the darker you are, the less vitamin D you have. I think if you're dealing with any kind of health condition, whether diabetes or hypertension, you're definitely deficient in vitamin D. So this is what also my patients, especially those in Nigeria who don't have access to testing the vitamin D easily, I just go ahead and just recommend vitamin D to them. There's nobody who has died from vitamin D overdose. I can guarantee you there are lots of people who have died from not having enough vitamin D, especially during this pandemic. You don't hear much about it in the news, but I tell you, it's a big, big, big issue. And some people try to get on my case and tell me not to talk about it so much, and I don't know why they would do such a thing. I mean, I don't know why they think they can waste their breath by telling me not to talk about vitamin D. It's absolutely very, very important, and I will keep on talking about vitamin D, especially for Black people. This is winter. You are by definition deficient in vitamin D, and it's not just being. You can go and do a test, and the range is 30 to 100. Is the optimal part. If you're 30, don't rest on your oars. 30 is not good enough. As a matter of fact, the people who know what they're doing, the doctors who know what they're doing and who treats and who work with vitamin D, some of them don't accept anything less than 60. I tested mine last year. It was about 83. I think in the winter it's probably going to be less. But some doctors who actually treat dementia say they don't accept anything less than 100. But the range is 30 to 100. Why would you be comfortable with 30? Doesn't make sense. Okay, all right. How are we doing so far? Somebody, Ungazi says, yeah, I mean, I first started talking about this in Nigeria, and it's like, the assumption is that because we're in Nigeria, we're near the equator, we're under the sun all the time. But here's the difference. Once you start making a little bit of money, once you're middle income, if you're not a farmer or a street hawker, a street vendor who is out in the sun all the time, you're not getting enough vitamin D. Because from my experience, most people I know, they have air conditioners at home, they get into a car that has an air conditioner, the windows are up, and they get into the office, the air conditioner, the blinds are down, or the blinds are drawn, or whatever. You only make vitamin D when your skin is exposed to the sun. Direct exposure to the sun, people. You can't be all dressed up and covered up and think you're making vitamin D. You are not. So you're most likely. So even though you're in the sun, even though there's a lot of sun around you, it doesn't mean that you're having enough vitamin D. Vitamin D through injection. It could be through injection, but why would you do it through injection? The best thing is to take vitamin D every single day. That's what the research shows, that even his daily vitamin D dose is better than weekly vitamin D dose. Calvin found out that I had fibroids during the pandemic, and it turns out I was super low in vitamin D. Yeah, fibroids are related to vitamin D, or low vitamin D levels are related to fibroids. Any correlation with frozen shoulder? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Dr. Denise. So maybe you need to expatiate. I asked about infections because I have plever to do. Yeah, I'm not understanding what you're saying, Byron. I think you've mixed your words up a little bit. Sorry. Do you recommend one a day woman? Well, if it provides the nutrients in the right amounts, I don't have any experience with one a day woman. If it's not giving enough vitamin D and not giving enough vitamin B1, vitamin B12, um, potassium is another big one. And they have to be in the right salts. Their combination, the form in which they come, is also very important. Any specific autoimmune conditions, indicators of dementia? Well, I can tell you, multiple sclerosis is a big thing that can lead to dementia. Diabetes, by some, has been termed an autoimmune condition, so that can, lead to dementia. Sugary sodas and processed foods are bad for brain growth. Absolutely. Another thing is fried foods. This tends to go under the radar. Fried foods and all these vegetable oils. You think because they're vegetable, they're better than they're called vegetable oils. They're better than the other kinds of oils. I would strongly recommend that you don't make it a practice of frying or cooking your foods with vegetable oils. They are now being shown to be very toxic. I know it's hard to believe, but very toxic to the brain. So again, I don't know why people aren't talking about this thing. It's baffling to me. Sugary sodas, another big thing. You want to start reducing your intake of sugary sodas, please. You gotta start reducing that. That's another thing with we Black people. We tend to like sugary drinks a lot more than white people do. Same thing with coffee. We tend to put more sugar in our coffee. I don't know what it's. I think we are born with the sweet tooth, and I've seen this both in Africa, living in Africa, and also living in the U.S. I think there was a movie that came out recently called Black. Is it Blackish? No, Blackish is a TV show. The Blackening, that's what it was. Like a horror movie / spoof and all that. But they kind of made fun of Black people and our tendency to like a lot of sugar. Okay, let's see what else. We're going to be wrapping up very soon, so I'm just going to fear of weight. As a result, we don't have it to go what we need. Yeah. Okay, let me see what some other questions back there. Boston, any correlation which folded for is vitamin D through injection as Nigerians? I think I've read all that before. Clever. Yeah, I don't know what clever is, but Byron. What are the recommended amounts of vitamin D and B12? So, okay. So I'm going to give you the official recommendation. The official recommendation for vitamin D is 800 international units. Personally, I think that's insanely ridiculous. Insanely ridiculous. For my patients, it's not for you. You go check with your doctor. But for my patients, I recommend 5,000 international units during the summer and about 10,000 international units during the winter. I personally take multiple times that, and I've been doing that for years now. And as you can see, I'm still alive. But think about this: your body, and you can Google. This is plain information. Your body, if exposed to sunlight, if you go out into the sun, not in the winter, even if you go out butt naked in the winter, you're not going to make any vitamin D. It has something to do with the tilt of the sun, and the tilt of the earth during the winter. But if you go out and during the summer, you can make as much as 25,000 international units just from being out in the sun. For Black people, you're going to have to stay longer because it's like 6 to 10 times longer. You have to stay in the sun than a white person does. So you can make as much as 25,000. For these people, what they call those Baywatch people again. Baywatch. Lifeguards, there you go, lifeguards. So the lifeguards, they found who stay out bare-chested or exposed, most of their body exposed all day long, they found they can make as much as 50,000 international units. And yet, they're still alive and they're doing very well. And yet they tell you, take 800 international, is it 800 or 600? So it makes no sense. And if you're talking about protecting your brain, you need good levels of vitamin D. So like I said, I recommend for my patients 5,000 in the summer, 10,000 in the winter. And Almost nobody I know, almost everybody I know, they've come back to me with some kind of improvement, whether it's low back pain improving or better sight, or no, not better sight now, but just more energy, more able to function. You'll be surprised what vitamin D does for your body. Okay, what is this doctor's name? I guess she's asking who I am. My name is Dr. David Ajibade. That is my name, Dr. Wonder Ward. Air frying, does alcohol. Well, I was talking about vitamin D. Quite frankly, vitamin D should not even be called a vitamin. That's one of the biggest mistakes in medicine, why they should have called vitamin D a vitamin in the first place. A vitamin, by definition, means that you are not able to make it in the body by yourself. And therefore, it has to be you have to get it either through diet or through food, through diet or through supplements. Well, guess what? Vitamin D, you make it through the skin. So really, it's a big mistake to call it a vitamin. Yes, international units, 1,000 IU. Yes, Camille, 1,000 IU is okay. So let me see. Someone's asking about vitamin B12. I've forgotten the exact amount now, but it's multiple times what is required, what is recommended. Let me just check that. Hang on a minute. Yeah, for vitamin B12, I'm not as comfortable talking about it in public. So you might have to just reach out after this. But vitamin B12 is what is recommended is way too low. Okay, good for you, Byron. First adult case ever known to the VA. I'll check out what clever is. All right, we are going to start. Well, we've already been rounding up. So if there are no more questions, was this being recorded? I don't know. Okay. I want to thank you again for joining us on this show. My name is Dr. David Ajibade. I run the Brain and Body Foundation. And if you have any questions, you can always send us an email or reach out to BWE. I wanted to say a big thank you to Dr. Jackie King for just a great initiative of doing this. All right. Mercy, is there anything I need to do? If you're still on, just let me know, and then I will. Thank you, Ayana. Thank you, Ayana, for thanking. She says very, very informative. I appreciate that. All right, and like I said, you can go on our YouTube channel. We are focused on addressing. So here's one of my goals in life. Blacks are twice as likely to have dementia than white people are. We want to make it. I want to level things up, level the playing field. Let's make it a ratio 1-to-1. So, which means that we need to know what it is about we Black people that's making us more prone to dementia, and we need to be unapologetic about it. We need to be cold-blooded about it. Cold-blooded assassins, addressed without prejudice, without fear, full of courage. And point these things out one by one by one. And really, let's address these things. Some of them, I guarantee, are going to be very uncomfortable. You're going to find very, very uncomfortable. But the truth must be ferreted out, and it must be exposed to the world, because it's not about you. It's about not about your feelings or your emotions, although those are important. But it's also about this is really a disgrace. And by the way, Baltimore is #1 in the country for dementia. We have the highest in the city. They have the highest rates of dementia, and the highest rates among Black people as well. So we want to level the playing field. Sorry, I'm just joining the conversation. My mother has this child with dementia. She has some. Yeah. So before I forget, again, this is if you want the Alzheimer's Association. Please, if you have any issues, you want to reach out to them. Uh, so it's three. Yes, 3900, and then the ALZ dot. I gotta wrap this up now. ALZ.org. That's the website, and that is the phone number. Yes. Oh, thank you again, Mercy. Yes, give your email. My email, I think, is there? Yes. If is there a way to know when each webinar will convene? Mercy, talk to us. Is there a way to know when each will there be others? Oh yeah, there'll definitely be others. I think this it's every Friday now, right, Mercy? Dr. Mercy is the one who does this on every Friday. So I certainly, yes, I am. Yes, I am located in Baltimore. Don't hold it against me though. Oh my God! Can you repeat your email? David.wordquest at gmail.com. All right. Okay, I'm just going to read these last comments and then we shall end it. I'll turn this off. How to slow the progression. Yeah, I just put the email there. How to slow the progression of dementia. It can easily be done. I promise you. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Website. Again, I send you the websites. And of course, if you need my, oh, there it is. Oh, sorry. Apparently the email didn't go through. This is our website address. Brain and Body Foundation.org. This is our website address. I've already sent you the website address for the Mercy. You're the best. Okay, Mercy, is there anything else you want me to say before I shut this thing down? Dr. Mercy. No email in LinkedIn. Know what that means. Dr. Mercy, anything? Dr. Mercy on LinkedIn, no email on LinkedIn. Well, I just sent you the email right now, so hopefully that helps. Just check the. All right. Yes, magnesium is Felicia. Magnesium is also my recommended supplement. Vitamin B12. Camille websites. Yes, Kimberly, I am in Baltimore. Okay, my mother has been diagnosed with dementia. Sorry to hear that. There's a lot you can do for your mother. A lot. Okay. Yeah, this well, just reach out to us and we'll talk about this. The question is what to do to slow dementia. There's a lot you can do to slow down the progression, but it's not something you can just text in here. I'm not trying to be difficult, but it's absolutely impossible to just text in what you want to do to slow dementia down. It's not a one-off easy process. I promise you. It's not. I wish there were. I mean, I've tried a lot of different things, especially back in Nigeria, a lot of different things, and I realized that it's got to be like I don't want to use the word holistic, but you got to attack it from multiple angles, almost like a 360-degree viewpoint. So it's never ever just one thing. Never just one thing. Okay. All right. So Linda Gray, you keep asking about an email address. Okay, so I'm going to send it again. Put it here. I thought I put it there, but maybe you didn't see it. So it's david.wordquest@gmail.com. David.wordquest@gmail.com. All right, people, it was great. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for staying to the end. God bless you. Have a happy new year, a wonderful new year. Wishing you all the best. Stay healthy, stay strong. Bye. Oh, okay. I see. So they're not seeing this on LinkedIn. Okay. Well, okay. Got it. Okay. It's good to know. All right. Bye.